Wait, what? Stay with me. Let's go back to around 25 BC. Archimedes of Syracuse. Major big brain dude. He had this incredible idea. Here's how his buddy Plutarch reported it. He said Archimedes moved an entire warship using pulleys and his own strength. That is innovation. Not 2.0 or an upgrade or the next generation, but something that changes the way we think and work and live. The heralded breakthroughs have more often than not merely walked to the edge of innovation. The cloud and AI and low code. Complex problems can only be solved by solutions that don't cause more problems. So what would Archimedes do today? He'd build a pulley and call it robotic process automation. Make the tech learn the human, name the task, name the workplace. RPA allows companies to automate at the UI level, connecting disparate technologies. Granted, that's a really wonky sentence. All it means is this: you and your employees can now pull vastly more than your own weight.
But whatever work becomes, the ServiceNow platform will make it just flow. Whether it's finding new ways to help you serve your customers, orchestrating a safe return to the office.
Wait, an office? What's an office?
Or solving a workplace challenge that's yet to come. Wherever the new world of work takes your business, the world works with ServiceNow.
You're gonna wanna get ready. You're gonna wanna get ready. You're gonna wanna get ready. Get ready. Get ready. Get ready. Welcome to the future. Welcome to the future. Welcome to the future. Here we are making history. Higher than we've ever been. You're gonna wanna get ready. Get ready, get ready. Welcome to the future.
Unexpected turns. It would be an exciting journey, even a little scary at times. And although it's difficult to predict what's around every corner, there's something else you understood. Transformation is essential for your business, your people, and your customers, so you can stay agile, resilient, and relevant in an ever-shifting marketplace. At SAP, we understand that true transformation is a journey too. It goes beyond the edges and deep into the core of your business. But it's a journey you don't have to take alone, no matter where you're starting from and where you want to go. We're by your side to simplify planning and execution and integrate data, intelligent tech, with cutting-edge ERP that will accelerate outcomes on your terms and on your timelines. The road ahead is clear. The next turn truly transformative. It's your time to rise with SAP.
speed of the internet. It's a digital world. What you might not have heard is that we can keep it safe, because at CrowdStrike, we stop breaches. So wherever you go, go with confidence. Anywhere. Welcome to Anywhere. CrowdStrike. We stop breaches.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to day 2 morning session of StarBiz Summit 2021 themed Rebuilding the Nation's Economy in the Digital Reality of 2022. Whether you're on Jublia, Facebook, YouTube or LinkedIn, first of all, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Gajan Nath and I will be your host for today. If you're watching this on Jublia, just so you know, the platform allows you to expand your industry network and personalize your journey. All this is thanks to AI Engagement Hub. Let me explain. If you go to the Meet tab on the left-hand side, you will then see companies and people. Feel free to scroll. Click Meet. If you want to build your connections, you will see a Meet button there. Not only that, you can also go to the Explore tab and visit our sponsors and partners virtual booth. And lastly, we have the Agenda tab. Do customize your agenda to what sessions that benefits you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I do understand that this is virtual, even though we are not seeing each other physically. Rest assured, this is a two-way interaction, so I can see the chat box. So, first things first, if you want to give a round of applause, I'm going to teach you how to clap. If you want to give a round of applause, type in the chat box W's. So, let me see some W's in the chat box. In fact, how about admin? You give some W's in the Jubia chat box. Why? Because W's, they resemble claps. Of course, if you are on social media platforms like Facebook, you can use the emoji button. That's fine. You know, if you're on Jublia, feel free to type W's to give round of applause. Because today is going to be a 2 to 3 hour session. And later on, if you want to give a round of applause to the speakers, right? You want to thank them, or if you agree to something, you want to clap, you can actually type in W's. There you go. I see. Thank you, Vicky. Thank you, Sunny. Thank you, Cockpin. Well done. Y'all can type in a few W's, yeah, not just one W. One W maybe win if you follow sports. But yes, well done. Yeah, you can put the emoji there, Vicky. You put the clap there. So yes, keep the engagement going. Remember, feel free to use your keyboard because we don't want this session to be this, right? If it's this session, then might as well watch Netflix. So you actually want to interact during this session because later we do have a Q&A session where the panelists can actually answer your questions. So be familiar yourself with the comment section and also the chat box. Now I've got some question to ask all of y'all because we have like tons of viewers from all different platforms. I like to ask y'all, what do y'all work as and in which industry? Type in the chat box. What do y'all work as and in which industry? In fact, I will start first. I'm an MC, I'm also a stand-up comedian and content creator. So obviously entertainment industry. But before that, in fact, I've been doing stand-up comedy for 10 years now. Before that, I was actually an IT consultant. Yes, in the consulting and IT industry. So I actually used to actually deal with a lot of SAP projects, some even Oracle, which we'll be touching today. So because we'll be talking about business transformation, digitalization. So yes, a lot of similarities that we're talking about. So do type in the chat box. What are you all working as and in which industry so that we can understand you better? So I see some of y'all have mentioned echo sound. Well, our team is actually working on it. Don't worry about it. In the meantime, do type in the chat box. What do you all work as? Are you a HR manager? What industry are you working in? In the engineering industry, consulting, banking industry? Type in the chat box so that we can understand you better, so that we can actually deliver a much better event. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, while waiting for all of y'all to actually type in the chat box, I can see some of y'all are already typing. Do let us know, what do you also like to wish to take away from this summit? What do you like to learn from this summit? Type in the chat box as well. So you can type in what do you work as, which industry, and also let us know what do you actually want to take away from this summit. Because by typing in the chat box in the comment section, we can actually understand your needs, and so that we align on our expectations, and so that later the panelists, the moderator can actually fine-tune their answers and also their inputs based on your inputs on your chat box and comments. Okay, there's Satu has mentioned, I'm in the training sector. That's good to know. Manufacturing and trading. Yes, we have a manufacturing track as well. Advertising, client servicing. Veronica has mentioned manufacturing. Kokping is in retirement. Any healthcare and pathology service. Nice. But by the way, I really appreciate all the comments, all right? Because a lot of virtual events is always a one-way interaction, and that leads to virtual meeting fatigue. If you didn't realize, that's the reason why a lot of corporate firms now they face virtual meeting fatigue, because it's always one way. So I thank you for all your comments, and I'm looking at this. Yeah, training, we got manufacturing. That's actually good, because in this session we'll actually be talking about what you can actually do on the IT side and also on the people side to actually move forward. So yes, I'm very sure that this virtual session is going to be very beneficial to all of you all. And don't just stop your comments there. Throughout this session, if you want to type more, feel free to type. Management consulting. Hey, I was also in consulting management. Not so much on the management side, but did a little bit of change management. Yeah. Okay, let's get started. Ladies and gentlemen, today's program is anchored by 4 Biz-Con breakout tracks, which means there'll be 2 parallel breakout tracks that will run concurrently in the morning and also in the afternoon. All right, so if you just look at my hands, it's very simple, right? In the morning, 2 tracks, and then the afternoon, 2 tracks. So 4 tracks, very simple. It's like a quadrant. Hey, quadrant, a very corporate term to use, right? Yeah, but don't worry, it's very easy. If you have watched Marvel movies, this is way simpler. We won't be seeing hosts and and panelists, like going to multiverse and all that. Okay, I may have just given some spoilers to some upcoming movies, but hey, the trailer is already out. So yes, we have 2 more tracks in the afternoon session. Now for this morning, we are actually covering digital SME and manufacturing construction tracks. I repeat, this morning we're covering 2 parallel tracks, digital SME and manufacturing and construction. So if you're watching this right now, if you're listening to me, I'd like to welcome you to the digital SME, the economic catalyst track. I repeat, if you're watching this right now, welcome to the digital SME and the economic catalyst track. My colleague Myra is currently hosting the manufacturing and construction track on the other side. So do take note, we have 2 tracks on parallel now. Ladies and gentlemen, just so you know that this program is exclusively engineered by the Star Media Group events team for you to learn and discuss how to recalibrate your business transformation journey in the age of never normal. We highly encourage you to be part of the conversations as we discover ways to optimize digital technologies and disruptive innovations to win in 2022. In commemoration of the Star Media Group's 50th anniversary, the group has run a series of technology events under its Digital X Data umbrella. And the StarBiz Summit is the grand finale of the group's Digital X Data 2021 events. We kicked off the Road to Malaysia 5.0 series that was dedicated to enabling digitally fueled Malaysian businesses to accelerate growth in the new Malaysia 5.0 digital economy and to drive innovative changes among the society in building a human-centered nation powered by disruptive technologies. The StarBiz Summit is the avenue for businesses and organizations to learn and discuss about the industry outlook and market forecast of 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, as I've shared earlier today, we will be going deep dive into 4 critical industry verticals, business areas, and organizational functions in breakout tracks format. To realize the StarBiz Summit's vision, we are very honored and humbled with the participation of more than 30 of thought leading speakers, subject gurus, industry experts, and business leaders from more than 10 countries in this 2-day program. So, ladies and gentlemen, can we all give a huge round of applause in the chat box for these wonderful speakers? If you still remember how to give a round of applause, as I mentioned in the beginning, do type in your W's in the chat box, or you can also use the emoji. Let's give them a huge round of applause. And of course, I would also like to take this opportunity to give a special shout out to all of our 19 sponsors and partners of the StarBiz Summit. Thank you all so much for coming on board with Star Media Group to make StarBiz Summit a reality. If you did not join today's opening session, if you did not join yesterday's opening session, I'm very excited to share with you that we are running a prize draw at this event. Yes, you did hear the word prize. In fact, we have a total of 15 cool gadgets worth 4,000 ringgit in total that we'll be giving away in this session. Now, stay with us until the end of the session if you want to find out how you can actually stand a chance to win any of these exciting prizes in each of these 5 sessions of the event. Not only that, ladies and gentlemen, we also like to add value. So, with compliments from the Oxford Business Group and in our appreciation for your participation at this summit, we are rewarding all of you with an exclusive complimentary access to the most up-to-date Philippines economy report worth 500 British pounds. The link to the access of the report will be emailed to you after the event. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a look at who are the 3 prize draw winners of the opening session yesterday. As you can see, the 3 prizes on the screen. We have got the Daewoo Macchiato Bluetooth speaker. The winner goes to Tony Lee. Tony, are you here? Are you watching? If you're watching this, type in the chat box, "Hey, I'm here." Right. Our second gift is Skull Candy Jeep Plus wireless earbuds. That goes to Lim B. Vian. Do type in the chat box, B. Vian. And last but not least, we have the Samsung Galaxy Buds. And the winner is Juanita Sulaiman. Ladies and gentlemen, how about a round of applause to all these winners? If you want to be like them, stay until the end of the session because I'll be revealing to you how you can actually win these cool gadgets. So stay tuned until the end. Do not go anywhere. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now let's have a look at what we have lined up for you at this digital SME Biz-Con breakout track. We will be kicking off the program with an opening keynote by the APEC Secretariat, followed by a presentation by our gold sponsor, SAP Malaysia. Now, the speaker will be sharing with us business transformation for SMEs growth in the never normal. And then we will end the session with a digital SME panel discussion that will be moderated by our knowledge partner, Gartner. And we also have 4 esteemed panelists from the Malaysian Ministry of Entrepreneur Development and Cooperatives, our brown sponsor, Oracle Malaysia Corporation, SME Association of Australia, and last but not least, the final panelist is from SME Association of Australia. I hope you are excited as with the program just as much as I am, because if you look at the lineup, it is really power-packed. In fact, if you want to learn more about the summit program and the speaker's profile, do check out the agenda if you're on Jublia. Or if you're not, do visit our website as you can see the link on our screen. If you have any questions for any of our speakers, please post them in the chat box or in the comment section. Because as I mentioned just now during the panel session, they will actually be reading your questions. They might not be answering all of your questions, but I'm very sure the moderators, the panelists, the speakers, they will try to do their best to answer your questions. Ladies and gentlemen, if you need any assistance from us, feel free to chat with our events crew or email us at events@thestar.com.my. For technical assistance on Jublia, you can also email StarBiz Summit 2021@jublia.com. Now in Jublia, do remember to visit our sponsors and partners virtual booth to find out more about their latest product offerings. All right, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, without wasting any further time, let's get started with the keynote of the Digital SME track. This presentation is titled The Digital Economy, the Heat is On. In this session, we will understand what needs to be done if Malaysia is to make headway in ensuring that we have the ecosystem to facilitate our digital transformation and an exclusive digital economy. Our keynote speaker was a Secretary General of the Malaysian Ministry of International Trade and Industry for 6 years, where she oversaw the formulation of Malaysia's international trade policies and positions. Not only that, she also chaired the body that drafted the ASEAN Economic Community 2015 and 2025 blueprint. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all welcome Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Dato Dr. Rebecca Fatima, APEC Secretariat of Singapore. Let's give her a huge round of applause.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Greetings from the APEC Secretariat in Singapore. I must thank the organizers of this event for this kind invitation to share my thoughts on this very important subject. Let me begin with a brief introduction to the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, or APEC. We are a regional organization comprising 21 economies that border the Pacific Ocean. Malaysia was a founding member of APEC. It is not uncommon when we meet to discuss the topic of small and medium enterprises or micro, small and medium enterprises that we provide a list of statistics on the significance of MSMEs to our economies, their contribution to employment, GDP, etc. I've decided that the most effective way I can help all of us frame the topic of this conference is to share with you 3 cases. The first 2 have to do with the APEC App Challenge and the APEC Digital Prosperity Award. The winners of the APEC Digital Prosperity Award are selected from the participants of the APEC App Challenge. The award recognizes innovative digital products or applications that have the potential to increase prosperity and inclusive growth. The App Challenge is a joint initiative of the APEC Secretariat with the support from the Asia Foundation and Google. It celebrates the kind of creativity that helps members solve some of the region's most pressing challenges. This is our way of engaging the youth of the region to show us real-life potential digital technologies by providing practical solutions to everyday problems, both big and small. A couple of years ago, through the APEC App Challenge, we asked the young app developers to work on a solution towards inclusive growth. Faizra Rizalman and Jeanette Gun of Bayou Harvest were the recipients of the APEC Digital Prosperity Award 2019. They designed a mobile app and e-commerce platform to help women and smallholder farmers move products into a high-value supply chain. Faizra, who is from Sabah, said that the idea to develop Bayou Harvest came about when she was frequently asked by women farmers in the state on how to increase their income and improve their livelihoods. These farmers would sell their products to middlemen who would acquire the harvest in large quantities but at low prices. The farmers had very little choice in the matter. Faizra worked with Jeanette Go who is an experienced digital entrepreneur from Kuala Lumpur, to take part in the APEC App Challenge. They focused on how they could use technology to help these farmers. They help the farmers manage, price, brand, and market their produce. Theirs is a very lightweight, friendly app that doesn't need the high-speed internet connection or a lot of memory space on their phones. Thus far, they've managed to reach out to over 100 farmers across 5 villages in Sabah. The pair emphasize that the app doesn't require that much data to run, so farmers in the rural areas could use the app with the limitations of the internet infrastructure. Because of the current pandemic situation, they have had to tweak their business model so as to continue assisting the farmers sell their produce under the Bayou Harvest brand. My second case is the APEC Traveler app, built by an exceptional team of developers from Malaysia. They were the winners of the APEC Digital Prosperity Award 2021. The Malaysian team developed a digital tool that focused on supporting the resumption of tourism, an essential sector for economic recovery post-pandemic. The team prioritized the digital transformation of the tourism industry through the uptake of smart technologies and digital tools, with the goal of boosting safe and seamless travel to meet visitor demand. After verifying one's status with a healthcare professional, the APEC Traveler app would make it possible for travelers to confirm their COVID vaccination status at APEC economy border crossings and immigration checkpoints by using a QR code. The winning team is led by Faisal Arif, a former fund manager turned startup founder, and includes Nick Amir Rizan Sulaiman, Amjad Al-Hanish, and Sherman Peter. They explain that this problem is by no means easy to solve, but the potential impact could be huge because of the contribution of international tourism to the economies in the region. This app has the potential to make it easier for nearly 1.9 billion fully vaccinated travelers in APEC to move around the region. For those of you who have the APEC Business Travel Card, you can appreciate the facility of the APEC lane at our airports. This app would possibly make the APEC lane even more relevant and useful to the common man or woman traveling between APEC economies as long as they're vaccinated. What is needed in both these cases is not only to take pride in the achievement of these young Malaysians, but also to engage them and provide the appropriate support to help them scale their business. Our role in APEC is to plant the seed. Governments and those within the ecosystem should help to take this forward. My third case is coincidentally also from Sabah. Last year, when Malaysia went into lockdown and students had to study from home, some realities about the internet connectivity hit home in a very concrete way. Viviana Mosibin, an 18-year-old student from University Malaysia, Sabah, had to sit for exams from home. But here's the problem. Viviana is from a remote village in Sabah. Internet access was a challenge. It was okay for online classes and to surf the internet, but for her exams, she needed stronger and uninterrupted connection. Being the resourceful person that she was, she hiked up a hill to study for better internet access, and later on stayed on a tree for 24 hours to complete her exams. She posted her experience on her YouTube channel and gained national and even international attention. So what do these three cases have to do with the topic of this conference? They are but pieces of a picture of what needs to be done if we are to make headway in ensuring that we have the ecosystem to facilitate our digital transformation and an inclusive digital economy. At the recent APEC CEO Summit, the key takeaways were that the next level of regional economic integration is regional digital economic integration, the digital economy and the green economy with inclusivity at its core. Let me just focus on the digital economy. It was pointed out that by 2025, the annual Asia-Pacific spending on information and communications technology will exceed US $1 trillion. And with the internet economy in Southeast Asia alone projected to be over 300 billion US dollars a year. The progress for digital economic integration has begun. Singapore, Chile, New Zealand have signed the Digital Economy Partnership Agreement, or DEPA. This is fast gaining traction. China's President Xi has already indicated China's interest to join DEPA. The agreement is the first of its kind. It establishes new approaches and collaboration in digital trade issues, promotes interoperability between different regimes, and addresses the new issues brought about by digitalization. So in brief, this agreement facilitates seamless end-to-end digital trade, namely e-invoicing, paperless trade, e-payments, enables trusted data flows, so personal data protection, cross-border data flows, data-driven innovation, and builds trust in digital systems, adopting ethical AI, capacity building for SMEs, online consumer protection, digital inclusivity. Recall how the Comprehensive and Progressive Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, or CPTPP, had its roots in the P4, four smaller economies in APEC. It began with Singapore, New Zealand, Chile, and Brunei forming the P4, and today the CPTPP, comprising 11 parties, is the gold standard for free trade agreements. So I can see DEPA being the building block towards a larger regional or global digital infrastructure. So the momentum towards the digital economy has begun in APEC. The pandemic has just made it an imperative that governments cannot ignore. Malaysia has a comprehensive to-do list if it is not to be left behind. In summary, there must be focus on digital infrastructure, and when the infrastructure is in place, to ensure that there is affordable access to technology, specifically universal internet access. In addition, I believe more should be done to improve information technology literacy to ensure that the populace has the requisite skills to take advantage of the technology. Capacity building, covering soft skills, and better use of technologies, including dealing with cybersecurity and data privacy concerns, ability to identify and deal with digital fraud and online misinformation. So support for MSMEs must include customer data protection and internet security. At the same time, there is the need to restructure the education system and recalibrate the curriculum to ensure that our people get the best from digital developments. Our education and training systems need to adapt to better prepare people for the flexibility and critical thinking skills they will need in the future workplace. But in all this, we must not forget the basics, specifically government's role in the ease of doing business. It is necessary to look at policies, processes, procedures, regulatory framework to ensure that they are transparent, predictable, fit for purpose, and provide the required support for just and inclusive economic development. Also, the need to have constant reality checks about the impact of decisions on the average person in general and the MSMEs specifically. Finally, Malaysia is an open economy. As such, it needs to seriously consider trade and investment policy, as it delays ratification of key agreements such as the CPTPP and the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP. Others are moving ahead. Tied to this is the question of Malaysia's competitiveness, investment environment, and commitment to structural reform and governance. For sure, the discussion on inclusion in a digital society cuts across sectors and different parts of government. It is necessary to work collaboratively, and collaboratively here includes interagency at the domestic level, as well as collaboration and engagement with the private sector, media, and the community, as well as regional and international organizations. I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Tan Sri Dato Dr. Rebecca. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the keynote presentation just as much as I did. A lot of important key takeaways there. Now, that was a keynote presentation, and moving on, our next presentation will be delivered by our gold sponsor, SAP. This presentation is titled Business Transformation for SMEs Growth in the Never Normal. In this session, you will discover how you can take lead in the new normal as an intelligent enterprise and learn more about the best practices for your companies to retain your competitive advantage, build a sustainable business operation, and drive success. In fact, as a bonus, there will be a survey at a link that will be provided later on, and you will actually stand a chance to win a GrabFood e-voucher, and together with the Harvard Business Review report. More details on that later in this presentation. Our speaker for this session is the Managing Director for SAP Malaysia with more than 25 years of experience. And in fact, if you didn't know, today SAP is the world's largest provider of enterprise application software. So ladies and gentlemen, let's all welcome KC Hong.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having me this morning. I've titled my presentation, Business Transformation for SMEs Growth in the Never Normal, because the world we lived in before the pandemic is gone, and we are never going back to it. The big question is, to what extent are things going to snap back? We are not going to snap back all the way. It's clear you and I are not going back to doing what things during the height of the MCO. Neither are we going back to what we are doing before the pandemic. What exactly we are likely to land will be somewhere in the middle, and this will vary by country, activity, industry, by households, and what's making it so unpredictable. Now, before I start my presentation, I would like to run a short 1.5 minutes video to acquaint the audience here who may not be familiar with SAP on what we do.
What is SAP? SAP is the market leader in enterprise application software, helping companies of all sizes and in all industries run at their best. 77% of the world's transaction revenue touches an SAP system. Founded in 1972, the company pioneered enterprise resource planning software, known as ERP, setting the global standard on how to manage operations and helping organizations do more with less. Since then, we've grown from a small 5-person startup to a multinational enterprise, with more than 100,000 employees and over 440,000 customers in 180 countries. SAP is in the business of helping companies become intelligent enterprises. By connecting experience with operations and advancing breakthrough technologies like machine learning, Internet of Things, and advanced analytics. We're driven by innovation and are now the #1 cloud business software company in the world, fulfilling our utmost purpose to help the world run better and improve people's lives.
I hope you have enjoyed the short introduction video to SAP. But before we dive into my session, I want to share some quick statistics which may surprise most people and correct any misconceptions when you hear of our brand SAP. The vast majority, 80% of SAP customers are mid-sized businesses, but because we also work with the largest companies in the world, most mid-sized businesses don't know we have solutions for them. In Malaysia, we have helped more than 1,000 SMEs in their digital transformation journey today. So the reality is most of the SAP customers are businesses like yours, grappling with similar issues to what you're facing. Just when we thought we have it all under control, 2021 was all about adapting to the new normal. In 2022, we need to anticipate the never normal, a new reality where a change is constantly triggered by seismic shocks like the ongoing pandemic. The world is facing huge social, economic, and environmental challenges, and these changes are not going to die down. In fact, they are expected to intensify. We are fast moving beyond the new normal into the never normal, where uncertainty and swift changes will be around, and volatility as the new constant. This is the era of constant disruption, innovation, and reinvention, and it requires a collective effort and shared accountability to unlock new growth and innovation for our communities and economies to thrive. These rapid changes are forcing companies to design your business for disruption based on business models guided by customer-driven change and the adoption of digital as the never normal. While they are disruptive, but they may also present opportunities. In this age of the normal, of some of the key trends we are seeing in our industry includes globalization is the first one. Globalization can also be a powerful contributor to growth and health. The world has gotten smaller, with consumers benefiting from greater choice from global marketplace. For businesses, there are benefits too, with increased competition, lowering prices, labor mobility, offering greater choice of workers and opportunities for more efficient production through economics of scale. Globalization is also leading to the rapid growth of international goods movement, which is essential to world economic health. But that has also resulted in overwhelming intermodal freight capacity, congestion of critical ports, border crossings, transfer points, and major gateway locations worldwide. Companies need to be able to shift resources, production, and financial funds around the globe in a flexible way to make the best use of regulatory and location advantages, build supply chains resilience to respond quickly to disruption. Secondly, it's about customer experience. High quality customer experience are in focus, but hard to achieve in an ever-changing marketplace. Improving customer experience ranks as the top strategic priority for SMEs across Southeast Asia, other initiatives like overall growth and efficiency. A trend that was clear in our global survey, but even more pronounced in Southeast Asia. There's also a growing trend towards civilization or everything as a service business models, such as streaming. Changes are not just how products and services are consumed, by how they are ordered and paid for. Whether or not you're a large business or SME, customer experience has got to be your top priority. Customer service can make or break a small business, especially in our increasingly competitive global economy. When the consumer is inundated with choices and being one click from doing business with anyone in the world, good customer service can really set company apart. Therefore, ability to capture customers' requirements effectively and then use those insights to drive mass customization and price your service accordingly is the key. Third, it's about talent war. Attention to talent issues will be critical in supporting agility and transformation. In a study with Oxford Economics and SAP, SMEs in Southeast Asia cite challenges finding and training the IT talent needed to execute digital transformation. Upskilling talent is cited as the top internal challenge to meeting strategic goals, yet less than 1/3 of regional SMEs have invested in employee training and development to boost employee experiences, below global averages. According to a recent survey conducted by Qualtrics, employee engagement in Malaysia increased to 67% in 2020 from 54% in 2019. And this is in line with the global average, and which rose 13% in the last year. It's also found that 30% of Malaysian workers polled here intend to leave their jobs in less than 2 years. The report scored Malaysia's employee engagement at 54% on average, based on metrics such as opportunities for growth and development, managers' effectiveness, and support and resources. The report noted there is a strong correlation between employee engagement and how one feels about their work, their company's strategic objectives. Confidence in senior leadership to make the right decision, at the same time managers who help with their career development. Fourth, and quite an interesting topic, is sustainability. Conventional thinking dictates business exists merely to generate profit. However, sustainability is increasingly becoming a necessity for corporations due to changing perspective around the world. It is becoming even more critical for companies to address the gap between knowing and doing by embracing sustainable business practices. According to McKinsey, having a sustainability strategy allows a company to make long-term investments, and do-nothing approach can mean a bigger loss in the future. Being sustainable may have fallen off small and medium-sized enterprises' list of priorities amid the global pandemic. But it's still, as if not more important, there is opportunity growth. Consumers here becoming more discerning, and they want to support brands that share their beliefs. Investors too are heavier emphasis on ESG criteria in their decision-making process. Businesses are increasingly more mindful of sustainability practices along their entire supply chain, including their SME suppliers. Last but not least is innovation. There's no doubt today that companies cannot avoid digital transformation if they wish to survive. While most large companies had started the digital transformation before the pandemic, the pace of change was greatly boosted by the crisis, and almost overnight, they had to implement digital collaboration and data sharing tools to allow employees to continue their activity from home. The COVID-19 crisis has also significantly accelerated the adoption of new technologies in the health sector. It highlighted the strong potential of solutions that already existed but rarely used until now. Telemedicine to monitor vulnerable people, AI and IoT to track and trace movement of citizens to manage infections, and big data analysis to predict the evolution of epidemic, amongst many others that we have here. The question I get a lot is, how does one ride on these trends and get my company on path to transform in the right way and at the right speed? At SAP, we believe there are 4 core business processes that all companies will need to operate intelligently and manage for a downturn or upturn. The first one is design to operate. Second one is about lead to cash. Third is about source to pay. And lastly is hire to retire. These processes exist in silos today, and most organizations, when these core businesses processes work in unison, what this means for the customer is a seamless end-to-end digital platform delivered based on industry best practices and standards, which provides for a consistent user experience, workflows, security, and identity management and analytics across different functions of the intelligent enterprise for a simplified experience and more effective decision-making. SAP Intelligent Enterprise Strategy is designed to help companies run their best, and the Intelligence Suite is the heart of this strategy, with SAP S/4HANA Cloud at its core handling all core processes. It is joined by the Industry Cloud, delivering highly verticalized and innovative applications for a specific industry and vertical needs. A unified business process intelligence and cross-applications analytics platform delivers new dimension of real-time and predictive data insight and foresight to stir the business. The business network takes this strategy outside your four walls, allowing you to collaborate seamlessly with your trading partners to drive connected processes and experiences. Finally, the business technology platform underlies it all. It's a common architecture that delivers a uniform master layer, cloud-based integration into SAP and non-SAP solutions, and low-code, no-code extension capabilities that allow companies to innovate faster and on top of their core application. If anything, the current crisis demonstrated that our intelligent enterprise strategy is more relevant than ever, both for our customers and SAP. First, it leads to more resilience, at the same time enable business continuity. If we step back and look at the global economy, it has evolved into a network economy. Our role has been to help millions of customers digitalize their end-to-end business processes and provide the simplicity and insights to complex business operations. One of our focus areas is in digital supply chain. To adapt to the never normal and more manufacturing practices and supply chains have turned digital. Why businesses need to think and act end-to-end. It started with the concept of smart factories to further automate manufacturing and using existing technologies and Internet of Things. However, many companies face challenges in truly digitalizing, as most businesses are structured in the departmental silos. Despite the network solutions and processes, most companies are hindered by enterprises-centric systems that are not designed for inter-company and cross-company visibility and collaboration. This lack of visibility hinders our ability to change in real time. SAP believes the next steps of building an intelligent enterprise center on establishing strong business networks and placing a sharp focus on sustainability. As a company, you may need visibility into an ability to collaborate with many types of trading partners on a daily basis. COVID-19 proved that a network like this is critical to help companies avoid costly disruptions. No business does business alone, and while one intelligent enterprise alone can achieve great things, we are living in an interconnected world. Let me share an example to illustrate the importance of being part of a unified business network. Let's say you are a kitchen appliance manufacturer who makes dishwashers. You may actually focus on the R&D and marketing of the machines, but actually leverage a contract manufacturer to produce them for you. You therefore need to collaborate with the contract manufacturer to share demand pictures and make sure they have the available capacity and materials. You also need visibility into how production is going to satisfy key orders and ensure that quality standards are met. The contract manufacturer needs to work with suppliers to obtain parts and packaging material. Some of these are purchased directly by them, but some key components are critical to dishwashers, and you may want to negotiate with them, with the suppliers, and handle the purchasing and have them drop ship to the contract manufacturer. The suppliers will need to purchase raw materials from the other suppliers, be it in Tier 2 or Tier 3, who may in turn purchase from a supplier further down the supply chain. In many cases, it is important for you to have visibility into these suppliers to ensure quality, fair trade, sustainability practices. It is your brand that gets damaged if your supply chain is shown to have poor labor or pay practices. And in the case of quality issues, having the ability to track and trace through all levels of supply chain is critical. There may also be several participants on sales side. For example, you may move your dishwashers to distribution centers around the world, from where they may get shipped to distributors, retailers, or even direct to end customers as well. In this example, the distributor sells to the customer. So this physical movement of the dishwashers from raw materials to the customer, but these physical movements rely on the network of logistics service providers and carriers. It is critical that to leverage the best practice for transport. This is also to ensure that they can deliver on time and also be able to track the physical movement of goods in transit to ensure everything is on time and the quality of goods are not compromised. Another type of network that may get involved during the process is the financial network of credit companies, banks, and other financial institutions. And finally, the dishwasher may have a maintenance contract. Now we have built a smart dishwasher that has built-in IoT-enabled sensors. These sensors can send information back to our service team who can detect or even predict issues with the device. So we can send a work order to our own or third-party service technicians and tell them what parts are required to make the fix and perhaps trigger a contract to offer ongoing support and maintenance as an upsell opportunity. So during a working day, your different departments within your company work with many trading partners. Sometimes the trading partner can be performing a single function. Other times, they may have multiple roles. A unified network will enable all trading partners to leverage combined intelligence to apply learning from past experiences to future decisions, ultimately driving success across the board. Because when a network reaches across functions, across industries, across the world, the companies have the power to reshape how business gets done, which includes collaborating to solve some of today's biggest social, economic, and environmental issues. A best-run business is capable of breaking down departmental silos and adopting intelligent, dynamic, cross-functional business processes to deliver the best experiences. A digital transformation need not be a complete overhaul. Most customers think these things begins with your ERP because they are essentially the brains behind the digital business transformation. ERP takes all the core processes needed to run a company, such as finance, HR, manufacturing, and supply chain, and it all integrated them into one single system. The digital core, like S/4HANA, allows intelligent technologies to be integrated into existing business processes, and it's important to take this opportunity to look for ways to optimize and doing the same things over again. And extending from there, the ERP from the past was also about making in your own with extensive customizations. To full leverage operating your ERP in the cloud with some degree of flexibility to allow differentiation and yet keep your digital core clean. SAP Business Technology Platform powers you to become an intelligent enterprise through integration, extension, and data to value from third-party applications and data assets. The third building block is about leveraging intelligent technologies, allowing businesses to dig deep into their existing pools of data for analysis and business insights. With intelligent technologies and cloud computing becoming more pervasive, both the cost and time to value has significantly reduced. It is not expensive these days to automate, say, a finance process, to reconcile purchase orders with supply invoices, to help in cash collection, but the benefits are far-reaching because intelligent robotic process automation significantly speeds up manual tasks. At the same time, be able to reduce human error, and companies can also begin to develop human capital. These also be able to uplift the capabilities and be able to enhance the potential of their workforce. Take a moment to imagine what your organization could do like an intelligent enterprise. Whatever industry you are in and whatever size your company is, think big. Not big in terms of size, but big in terms of impact. But start small. When it comes to advanced technology, any small change can have an impact on your business. It could be something as simple as automating invoices, or it might be a complete digital transformation that connects business processes and streamlines your entire business to deliver exceptional end-to-end experiences. So how do you get started? First, it's about determining your starting point. Audit your existing system and asset to get a view of what systems or machines are already digitalized. In your ERP, modern and scalable, or is it still running on disk-based database memory? To give your project an early leg up, look first for processes within your business that are highly operational priority and have least complicated path to transformation. Second is about defining your priorities. Don't plan a marathon before you even made it around the first block. The beauty of digital transformation is that it does not have to happen all at once. Like building blocks, smart technologies are designed to evolve, scale, and integrate. Ask your software technology partner about business transformation services and how they can help you get started. Third, it's about building your roadmap. A significant benefit to smart technologies lies in their immense scalability and capacity for rapid adaptation and reconfiguration. A great transformation roadmap should allow agility and growth, but start with a roadmap that has a few strong and attainable goals, but build solid change management and migration strategies into your plan as well. Digital transformation is as much as human journey as a technological one. More importantly, the fourth one is to prepare your teams. There's a saying, things do not change, we change. Smart technologies can help reduce repetitive and tedious tasks, improve employee engagement, and support collaboration. But these benefits can only be realized when all of your people are fully on board. Don't spring the news on your teams. Learn from their input and ideas and openly address their concerns and give them time to change. Help your teams to pivot so that they can be able to be ready to embrace this journey towards the intelligent enterprise. Here in Malaysia, we are fortunate to have partnered with many iconic homegrown brands who have shown determination not to let this crisis to waste and have set their eyes on conquering the global marketplace by leveraging e-commerce and an omni-channel commerce strategy to delight the changing needs to their customers. We know every customer is at a different point now and has a unique path forward. Digitally grown startups have already embraced standardized processes and cloud architectures that need to scale and grow into new markets. Then we have companies with longer heritage and history that are facing complex and often highly customized on-premise system architectures. This point is that there is no singular path forward, but every business needs to move forward. My philosophy is dream big, start small, but most of all, let's start somewhere. Today, consumers have higher expectations from products and services than they did in the past. With so many choices at one's fingertips, it's hardly a surprise that customers will constantly evaluate their interactions with brands. Customer centricity has always been a core of Baba's business. Digital transformation is a critical part of their business strategy, which not only makes them future ready, but also helps them to meet their commitments to customers, retailers, and distributors. Baba's partnered with SAP early in their digital transformation journey to digitalize their core with SAP S/4HANA and transition from manual paper-based processes to a digital business platform. Baba's also look for building capabilities that would enable them to achieve greater efficiency, productivity, and propel their business to the next level as they expand their businesses to other markets, including Australia, China, Indonesia, and the United Kingdom. Baba's digital transformation initiatives help them to embrace industry best practices and become future ready. The pandemic gave them an opportunity to rethink how they drive their business, particularly by embracing change and technology. Our next customer is an iconic brand, Aspen Glove. As a new player in the industry, Aspen Glove is up against industry players who have several decades worth of experience. It was necessary for Aspen Glove to distinguish itself from competitors in order to survive. Aspen Glove selected SAP's S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition as their ERP for its new glove manufacturing plant in Kulim High-Tech Park that will be running 96 production lines. Their focus on automation is in line with Malaysia's Industry 4.0 policy, which aims to attract stakeholders to shift towards Industry 4.0 applications and technologies, creating a holistic ecosystem to support the adoption of Industry 4.0 by industries, at the same time be able to enable holistic transformation of the manufacturing sector to increase and strengthen productivity and cost efficiency. Aspen Glove has successfully moved beyond smart manufacturing in factory with Industry 4.0 initiatives, connecting production with an end-to-end process execution across supply chain so that they can be able to reach new level of connectivity and adapt change on the fly. Hence, they are able to revolutionize the quality, customization, and speed of delivery to meet the customer demands of today. Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, countless small businesses owners have faced and are still facing uncertainties. While many businesses are struggling to navigate the ongoing effects on the economy and the consumer market, some are actually thriving in this landscape. They have pivoted and experienced growth and success. What are some of the common qualities of these businesses? First one is lead by innovation. We have seen how much of them led with innovation because every business needs creative and find new solutions to business problems. This pandemic has given innovative, forward-thinking entrepreneurs a chance to shine and flex those creative muscles. They are constantly looking to differentiate in their product offerings or to address a need in the experience gap. They are able to tap into the deep motivations of their customers with data to anticipate what is in demand and what customers will pay top dollar for. Digital transformation is more than adding a few digital tools into your current workflows. It is important to have in mind how business processes can be completely reimaged or refined to support evolving market conditions and how companies should operate in the future for the better. Second is about scale with speed. Ongoing geopolitical tensions, environmental changes, prolonged pandemic are forcing business to deal with change faster than ever before. The companies who adapt their business processes quickly will thrive. There are reasons why we have SAP launch Rise with SAP. It is all about business transformation as a service to help our customers continuously unlock new ways of running businesses in the cloud to stay ahead of the industry. Third is about making a difference. Finally, to run a business which makes a difference, how business success is measured has been evolving beyond pure financial KPIs. Companies will be judged on what they do, not what they say about going green. Companies need to be able to combine financial, social, and environmental data to make better business decisions and ensure long-term success, and investors are demanding the disclosure of ESG information to take into account for investment decisions. SME's ability to work with sustainability data will be key for acquiring new customers, embracing technological changes necessary for succeeding in this rapidly evolving environment by avoiding legislative shocks. Many SMEs do already embrace sustainability opportunities. Such outstanding business have a huge head start, enabling them to harness the opportunities presented by the transformation and at the same time advancing their business model to the next stage. It comes without saying that running a profit-driven business is no longer an option. We, the growing population, are already living in a negative impacts, and that is why we as business leaders must make a difference and choose to seek the balance to make profitability sustainable and sustainability profitable. Before I go, please enjoy this video and thank you for your attention this morning.
We are explorers of new worlds, of new possibilities, of incredible ideas. We crossed oceans, explored planets, built future from a dream. What was once impossible today becomes the hope. And now we are set to chase the greatest challenge of our times. Climate change threatens not only us, but the future of our planet and our generations to come. And the front line of this battle is in Asia. Home to 60% of the world's population, Asia is set to be the world's engine. And Asia stands to be the worst hit by climate change. We at SAP are chasing zero for Asia now. Zero emissions, zero waste, zero inequality. Here, we are set to make SAP carbon neutral by 2023. This challenge is our collective race. It takes one to act, but it needs all of us for a change. Chasing zero is about chasing a sustainable future for Asia and the world. To achieve this bold dream, we need a common shared purpose towards a sustainable future. Passionate people working together as individuals, organizations, or governments. Hand in hand, we partner to leverage our best knowledge, technologies, and innovation to fulfill this dream and pass on the golden baton to our next generations. It is time for Chasing Zero for Asia now.
So thank you for watching the video. This is something we would like you to feedback to us. Your feedback is important. We are giving away e-vouchers for the first 200 unique individual submission. You can scan the QR code to submit the survey here, or you can click on the survey link that our organizer has put in the chat box. So thank you for listening.
You always knew you'd be in for a ride. There'd be ups, downs, twists, and unexpected turns. It would be an exciting journey, even a little scary at times. And although it's difficult to predict what's around every corner, there's something else you understood. Transformation is essential for your business, your people, and your customers, so you can stay agile, resilient, and relevant in an ever-shifting marketplace. At SAP, we understand that true transformation is a journey too. It goes beyond the edges and deep into the core of your business. But it's a journey you don't have to take alone. No matter where you're starting from and where you want to go, we're by your side to simplify planning and execution and integrate data, intelligent tech, with cutting-edge ERP that will accelerate outcomes on your terms and on your timelines. The road ahead is clear. The next turn truly transformative. It's your time to rise with SAP.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, apologize for that couple of minutes because we are setting up a certain layout. So, thank you so much for still staying with us. Now, again, just now you did see the SAP presentation. I think it was very insightful, very holistic. In fact, for me, it was actually very nostalgic. As I mentioned just now, when I was an IT consultant, my last couple of projects was actually SAP based. So, I hope you all found it very insightful, just as much as I did. Now, next up, we have arrived to the power panel discussion titled Industry Calibration for the Never Normal. This panel discussion is focused on the transformation and digitization of SME businesses for a post-pandemic world. The panel will explore newly evolving opportunities and challenges facing the public sector and the SME private sector. By combining all the insights from the panelists who will share their success stories and also challenges with digitalization, there are tons of opportunities for you all to discuss, voice your opinions, and ask questions in the chat box. So, yes, get your fingers ready on your keyboards because feel free to ask questions because our moderator and panelists will be answering them. This panel discussion will be moderated by Andy Rosell Jones, Vice President and Distinguished Analyst of Gartner. His recent work are defining the management agendas for CIOs, IT strategy, IT cost reduction, stakeholder management, and defining IT performance metrics. Andy will be joined by 4 very distinguished panelists. Our first panelist joined the Administrative and Diplomatic Service in 1994, where she was first posted at Malaysian Administrative Modernization and Management Planning Unit Mampu in the Prime Minister's Department. Not only that, she has also served in the Ministry of International Trade and Industry, MITI, for 12 years. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's all welcome Yang Berbahagia Datuk Suryani binti Datuk Ahmad, Secretary General of Ministry of Entrepreneur Development and Cooperatives. Our second panelist has nearly 3 decades of ICT industry experience locally and internationally. He has held various senior leadership positions in several companies such as Maxis and HP Malaysia. Let's all welcome Muhammad Fitri bin Abdullah, Managing Director of Oracle Malaysia Corporation. Our third panelist is a multi-award winning business owner who has forged a successful career in public, business, and corporate life. In 2017, she was named as one of Australia's top 9 influential female entrepreneurs. How about that? So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Angela Vitolkas, the spokesperson for SME Association of Australia and the founder and host of SME TV and podcast channel. Ladies and gentlemen, our final panelist, our fourth panelist, was the winner of 2004 Malaysia SMI Women Entrepreneur Award, 2005 Asia Pacific E-Entrepreneur Excellence Award, and 2005 Intellectual Women Entrepreneur Award. That's a hat trick of awards right there. She's also the founder and managing director of Green Wellness Malaysia since 2012. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all welcome Yang Berbahagia Datin Dorf Peng Wen Yin, National Deputy President of SME Association of Malaysia. Now, ladies and gentlemen, looking at the lineup, I cannot ask for a more powerful lineup. I'm very sure you all are eager just as I am. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to post in the chat box. All right. And they will, the panelists and also the moderator, they will do their best to answer your questions. All right, Andy, I'm very sure the audience are eager to learn from all of y'all. So over to you.
Well, good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are, and it's a great pleasure to be with you. And over the next hour, we're going to be covering, I think, some of the important questions for SMEs in Southeast Asia. We'll have a little bit of flavour from Australia and New Zealand too, and perhaps, Dorf, maybe as you were introduced last, let me turn to you first, in the sense that we're seeing trade wars, we're seeing supply chain blockages, we're seeing shortages of talent, we're seeing enormous business volatility thanks to COVID-19. What are you seeing in the SMEs that you're dealing with, and what are some of the implications for those dynamics for the region?
Right. Thanks for the question, Andy. Good afternoon and good morning to our panelists and also everybody online. And I think in regards to this question, my thought would be in business, the only certainty is uncertainty, right? So although COVID was a very drastic challenge, we are always faced with all sorts of issues in business. Right, that's why in the Chinese proverb they're saying that when we are in our comfort zone, always be prepared for any threats that come by, any dangers. So in fact, I'm representing the SME Association of Malaysia today. So over the past 26 years, the association has been working tirelessly with government, with all the stakeholders to help transform SMEs into the economic powerhouse. So I think our government would like to have SMEs to contribute the GDP from the current 38.2% up to 45% by 2025. And of course, to increase the exports of Malaysian SME from the current 13.5% to 25% by 2025. So I think if SME were to thrive and to compete very effectively, I think the digital adoption is definitely not a choice, but a necessity, although it's very disruptive today. So I think competitiveness is the key today.
But before I go to Sriani, because I would like to get a government response to that, what you just said, particularly volatility. I mean, when we talked to Fitri just before the call started, it's been a pretty tough year for SMEs, whether you're in Australia, where I am, and Angela is, or whether you're in Malaysia, where you guys are, Singapore, Thailand. It makes no difference. We're seeing some really tough times. So I'd be very interested to get your perspective on what volatility looked like from where you were sitting.
I think if you talk about volatility, is always there. Just that how do we actually recalibrate ourselves? Because right now everything is about recovery, right? Since we are on the different stages. After this 20 months into the pandemic, we actually look into the readiness of SME, how to actually handle whatever is upcoming. So we actually look into that, of course, survival, then recovery, and those that has actually done pretty well. So how do they thrive and look into the global market? That will be our stand. Okay.
So it sounds positive, quite a positive time. Surian, if I may turn to you. Malaysia has, as Dorf was talking, it has enormous ambition for its SME, the SME component of its economy. But nevertheless, the Malaysian economy has gone through some fairly bumps and turns over the last 20 odd months. So I'd be very interested to hear from your perspective how you would assess that last period that we've all been through, and what you think we should take away as the learnings from it.
Thank you, Andy. first of all, let's look at the implications of the implications for SMEs in the region. Yeah, see the supply and demand, it has drastically affected the reduction of supply of labor in the first. So because of the lockdown, we cannot expect laborers to because some of our industries depend a lot on foreign workers. So there's a lockdown and we can't bring in the foreign workers back into our industry, and then because of that there'll be loss of income, reduction in spending. The global demand is a factor, and there's a limited resources. And then even McKinsey's survey indicated that between 25% to 36% of small businesses could close down permanently. So what the government is looking at, seeing is that this thing may extend to a longer period of time, and through over the past many moons ago, so the government has actually looked into a lot of programs on how we can actually help the SMEs to come back into the business. And a lot of programs have been implemented in our country. There's a lot of funds given to recover the the SMEs. Various MSMEs development programs are being implemented, and this covers a wide range of aspects, such as the capacity building, the financial assistance, as well as the skills and entrepreneur training. So there are a lot of things that we want to do. Sometimes we want to really outreach to them, but the SMEs must actually come to us and tell us what they really want from us. So it is something that all of us are into this together, and we hope that by next year in 2022, perhaps we can help all of us together and bring back the MSAs into the industry, into the economy, and we revitalize the economy.
So in summary, it's been a very perilous time, but through the interactions of government and the actions and programs the government have put in place, you're protecting and hopefully now growing the SME part of the economy. Is that a sort of fair summary of how you see the next few months or next few years playing out?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for that. I'd like to sort of turn to a sort of another private sector view, which is Fitri is the managing director of Oracle Malaysia. Now, people may not think of Oracle as being a small and medium enterprise, so perhaps you'd like to give your perspective of what you're seeing in the Malay Southeast Asian market.
Yeah, so I think thank you, Andy, and it's a pleasure being in this panel. Oracle is the second largest software company in the world, and we are a top cloud service provider, and then providing at the application layer as well as the infrastructure cloud services. So our involvement with SMEs in Malaysia is actually through our cloud technology solutions, as well as our Oracle NetSuite, where we provide financial management solutions for SME. We have over 60 plus customers today with NetSuite, and maybe another 50 on our cloud infrastructure. And to note, one of the big SMEs running our NetSuite is actually Kasam. So Kasam, if you look at the government came out with this whole big My Digital program, the blueprint for digitizing the whole country. And in the SME space, I think the aspiration is to have 5 unicorns. And actually, Kasam is already one of the unicorns identified. They tick the boxes, and they're using our financial management solution. So from my perspective is, also the digital economy in Malaysia currently contributes 22% of GDP. And the plan from the government is to increase it from 22% to 40% by 2025. We heard from Datin that, we are looking at 38% to 45% contribution for SME. But clearly, there is a very good overlap that SMEs will need to digitize as they move forward. And then clearly, with the pandemic, we see that. Obviously, there are many challenges in terms of awareness of all the solutions, how to digitize. There's a funding challenge that needs to be also addressed, also the knowledge, expertise, and also the talent side. So these all comes into play. But I do believe that cloud-based solutions, I think it is the key. I think it's the right solution for SMEs going forward because they don't have the talent, they don't have the capability to spend the capex building up their own IT solutions back office. So I do see a lot more SMEs engaging with us, and then especially those who are actually growing going beyond Malaysia. They have no choice but to embark on a journey, and then cloud will be a big solution site, that platform that we will be embarking on.
So, just looking forward post-pandemic, from what you're seeing, is the next year going to be more of an opportunity for SMEs in Malaysia, or is it going to be more of the same, more stormy weather, and we have to be really careful what we're doing? What do you, if you want to?
Yeah, so I would say in Malaysia we do see the light. I think our vaccination level is very good, and then things are opening up. The borders are also, we are opening up the border with Singapore next Monday. So I think the light is definitely there, and I would give kudos also to the government. They've come up with many programs in terms of the Penjana. They've also come up with the business accelerator programs from many different agencies from the government. Even I think this past Monday, the Prime Minister came out with the PADI, looking at the rural development centers to develop those rural entrepreneurs. So I do see the government is going all out in terms of digitizing all businesses with a special focus on SME. So I think the main thing is the engagement, and then and also making sure that the execution happens, and then people get digitized. And as I said, I think it is a journey. So perhaps maybe you need to do the front office in terms of showing your products, and then doing the order and the payments, and then later on you need to look at the back end side. Although my point of view is the SME challenge has always been for them to get funding. So unless they have a good financial system that they can show to the banks to say, hey, this is my business over the years and all that, then it will help them with the business. So I think a good financial management system is also key, so that they can show that they have a track record, and then for them to get further funding going forward.
Well, we'll talk a little bit about digital transformation in a moment. But what I'd like to do, Angela, is just to round out the panel and just to introduce yourself to the people who are listening to us today. I mean, you and I are both in Australia, and this idea of having plans and targets and things that sounds exciting. But I won't take away your response. So, what are you seeing? And as a spokesperson for the SME Association here in Oz, how has the world been treating the SMEs here?
So our story might vary a little bit, Andy, to the great news that I've heard from everybody else. I'm very envious of their solutions and their journey with government, because it certainly hasn't been the case here in Australia. We represent more than 200,000 national members in Australia, which isn't big numbers compared to overseas, but for Australia it is. And our members are telling us a very different story. I mean, I'm an SME owner here as well. So I see different stories all the time, but there hasn't been any future-proofing applied. I don't think we're ready for the next wave. I think government in Australia has approached this in a very isolated way. We've gone into lockdown, but we don't have resilience measures put in place. SMEs have been pretty much left on their own to deal with things and find their own solutions. We've had some government funding, but as you've all said here, I think the huge discovery globally for governments and other businesses alike, including big business, is how reliant we actually are on the success of our SME sector, because we employ so many people. In fact, in Australia, we employ 70% of the workforce. So when that is reduced, when we don't have supply chains being efficient, when we don't have talent, when our borders are closed, when our foot traffic, whether it's virtual or physical, is wiped out, and we're looking at, in our CBDs in Australia, our businesses are down 60%. And I heard, I think, from one of the other panelists that there are stats there in your own part of the world where some businesses 25 to 30% won't recover. I would agree with that data here. We're really going to see an issue there. So things, it's not that we're not optimistic here, Andy, but we tend to be very blunt in our situation, and it's not easy. It's never easy for an SME, but we are facing an economic challenge where we aren't prepared digitally. We haven't transformed pre-COVID. We struggled during COVID to transform and pivot, a word that was used a lot everywhere, but what did it actually mean? And I think our biggest challenge is going to be understanding that we need different revenue streams if we are going to be prepared for what else is coming, because this pandemic has shown us how unprepared we actually are and how limiting our markets are. So many of our SMEs in Australia didn't have global connections, didn't have markets overseas, and they suffered the most. So we need to prepare looking forward what happens, what could happen, and to be ready for that.
Well, that's a sort of good counterfactual to what's happening in Malaysia, which is, I think it's always good to bear in mind how not to do something, because it tells you a lot about what you're doing that's right. But Andrew, just before I pass to the next question, which will be something about COP26 and the environmental dimension to what we're trying to do. 2022, 23, you optimistic, pessimistic? How do you think it's going to play out?
I think I tend to make big calls and go on the record and make big calls. I think the next 6 months are going to be very difficult again for SMEs. We have just heard this morning on the news here in Australia of a new wave coming through from South Africa and UK shutting borders to South Africa. So I would say that we're optimistic here in Australia because we finally think we're coming out of lockdown and we can relax a bit coming into Christmas and New Year. But the first 6 months of next year will show us again where we stand. So I'm looking more at 2023, but I will say that I am telling all our SME members, and what we're doing when we're curating content is that get your skills in order, get your websites ready, get that digital transformation happening. Understand that if you haven't transformed your back office, streamlined, been more efficient, understand as owners you need to be in touch with how your business should work in the new world. You are going to be way far behind lots of other businesses, big and small. The micro ones might be leading the way because they're fresh and new and can see things in the forward sense. Some of us SMEs who've been around a long time, we have very bad habits, Andy, very bad habits that we need to change. So maybe 2023, 22 will still be a bit iffy.
Right. So I won't talk about the new normal, which is the next question I was going to talk about. So instead, let's just move on very briefly before we start talking about digitization, which everyone has hinted at, and obviously we want to talk about, which is the only other big environmental trend that we're seeing is an environmental trend. With COP26 just finishing in Glasgow, and frankly not a whole lot coming out of this, but nevertheless, sustainability, nevertheless, the whole greening of the economy is a thing, and it is a thing that's not going to go away. And if you want to see the effects of that, look at how where capital allocation models are funding certain things and not funding other things. For example, coal-fired power stations and coal mines become more expensive because not too many investors want to go down that route. So I don't know whether any of the panelists have a particular view. Dorf, you're nodding. So does that mean, can I come back to you then to say, well, now what's the sort of consensus on how should SMEs be thinking about COP26, or how should we be thinking about the environment?
Yeah, I think actually, I would say before COVID, I think the mindset is always my business, my daily business. So I share a lot of what Angela was just sharing. I totally agree with what Angela was saying. I think when you look at the SME Malaysia, right, we would actually have to look at our daily business, and we couldn't really spend too much time thinking about digital technology, what's outside. But then if you look back, right, for the past 20 months, I think COVID has actually opened up a lot of mindset, different change the mindset. And also you look at our government, right, we're actually encouraging SMEs to really look into the environmental aspects, because environmental, social, there'll be an impact to the business. It's not just about you doing your own business and you don't care about what's going on around you. So that would be something that, of course, we'll keep encouraging the SMEs because of the legacy issue, whatever happened previously. Don't think about that anymore. Let's move forward because that will actually improve their capacity, also their capability to compete in the marketplace, especially if we are talking about global market.
Certainly, for many SMEs, the environmental elements of the economy and that change are a positive. It certainly sounds like that's what you're describing. I don't know if there's anything else to say about that environmental, the environmental factors. It's a sort of yes, it's definitely a good thing. Before I turn on to digitization, Fitri, do you want to add to that, or are you basically seeing very much the same thing in terms of the environmental issues?
Yeah, I think if you look at the COVID side, people have been locked down, and it seems like there's bigger awareness on the environment and sustainability. So I think, in a sense, it was a bit of a wake-up call for everybody. I believe, I think before COVID, it was sort of afterthought. So I do believe, I think there was a bigger awareness on the need for environment protection and sustainability. So I believe, I think that's one of the upsides that we are seeing. And then clearly, I think we are seeing every country coming up with ESG KPIs and targets, and it looks that it is serious this time. And also, I think if you look at the discussion, it seems like countries are putting down, markers that, hey, these are the targets. Previously, it was a bit wishy-washy. That's just my perspective. So there is bigger awareness, and I think seems to be a bit more commitment.
Just to put you on the spot, if you were an SME leader, would you be taking ESG? Would you be doing something about it? What would you be doing about it? Fitri, I mean, or somebody, if someone
Andy,
wants to take that.
It has become an issue here in Australia. We've really dropped the ball. We were very disappointed in COP in terms of Australian input and output. And I think ESG is another way of SMEs being able to lead by example because, our owners are so close to everything. We don't have those 10 levels of board between, us and what's happening, that we have a unique opportunity to set the benchmarks against the big end of town who are very slow to fix things within their organisations. So ESG, I think, is a great way of looking at things. But also in terms of the environmental challenges that the world has, more opportunities for SMEs to excel in producing or accessing the market, in showing off their new tech skills, in investing in great tech that's going to literally save the planet, if you will. And because SMEs are more nimble and more fluid, we can jump to new ideas. We're not slow to respond like government or the big end of town. Now, government's got a role here to play, Andy, because they've got lots of ka-ching, and the ka-ching is going to make the difference. So if they give SMEs the ka-ching, we will make the change, because this opportunity here today for us to meet as leaders in our different fields and for SME associations to, kind of join together and hear what we've got going, these are opportunities that, governments plan a year ahead to meet in COP or 2 years and get nothing out of it. We could make change just by having this kind of summit on a regular basis. So score one for us.
Excellent. Well, I shall. It sounds like at last some optimism coming out of my my part of the world. Okay, I want to turn now to digitalization or digitization, because I think that's something that we've all been hinting at and we all really want to talk about. And Suryani, I would like to come back to you and really sort of give you first go at this, because what Fitri talked about is, the Malay government once again have got a 22% of the SME economy on digital. They want 40% by 2025, which is a huge ambitious target. Be very interested in hearing how we're going to do that. But just before I hand that question to you, I'd just like to remind everyone who's listening that if you would like to ask some questions to the panelists, please do so, because we will be having some time at the end to try and answer your questions. So, Suryani, what are you seeing in digital transformation? Why is it becoming more common? What's the sort of backstory to this?
Sorry, Andy, your voice seems to...
Oh dear, sorry. Well, hopefully, can you hear me now?
Yes, but I missed your question just
Okay,
now. It's like
sorry. No. The,
duplicating.
the question is digital transformation is becoming more common. And Fitri talked about some targets the Malay government has for digital adoption in the SME market, which are quite ambitious. And I would be very interested in hearing your perspective on what digital is and why it is important for Malay SMEs.
Right, right. Thanks, Andy. Digitalization to Malaysia has been actually being forced to us in much faster mode because of this pandemic. You see, we are moving towards that, or rather, we are halfway into digitalization. But because of the pandemic, suddenly the SMEs had to actually transform themselves and put all their businesses into this platform, which requires all of them to transform their businesses into digitalization. Meaning they have to market their products online. They have to entice the consumers through their products just through by pictures. No more physical interaction. They can't see the products themselves anymore. So these are the things that are being looked at by the government, and because of that, government has actually launched what we call My Digital Initiative. So this initiative is something that we want to look at and want to make sure that this is something that we can achieve. It is actually to transform Malaysia into a digitally driven, high income nation and a regional leader in digital economy. So what we're trying to do through My Digital Initiative is for us to boost the economic competitiveness of about 800,000 MSMEs through digitalization by facilitating their digital transformation, their digital adoption, and access and effective use of the digital economy. So government is really serious doing this. And through our agencies also, we have our own initiatives, our own programs, so that the SMEs will adopt this digitalization. It's something, is to me, it's not a choice anymore, but it's something that they have to accept that this is the normal. The new thing now about marketing is through digitalization.
I would like to come to Fitri because I want to talk a little bit about barriers to digitization and what's holding us back. But Suryani, if I may just ask you one question from your experience of dealing with Malay SMEs particularly, what do you think is holding them back? You and I both see the benefits of digital, but it's actually quite a difficult thing to achieve. So what sort of barriers are you coming across in terms of implementing the very, very ambitious programs that you have?
We did a short survey recently on the capabilities of the SMEs to transform themselves and bring themselves into the digital platform. What we found out was that some of them are actually facing insufficient capital. They don't have enough money to invest in digitalization. Some of them, because of lack of knowledge, they don't see the importance of digitalizing their businesses. They don't have that enough information, not enough exposure about having to do this, and they do not know about the appropriateness of the technology to adopt. What kind of technologies that they need to take on to improve their businesses? They do not have that knowledge. And there are also some of them who responded to us saying that they do not actually need to do all that. They do not require this digitalization. They think that this is a short-term crisis that they may overcome in the near future. But those kind of things, those are the feedbacks that we got from based on the survey.
Fantastic survey results. So that begs two questions. And Dorf, I would like to come to you after I've given Fitri the chance of summarizing some of the barriers that he's seeing, because it almost calls for, so why aren't your members getting it question, which I will ask you in a second. But Fitri, so you did talk a little bit earlier about some of the barriers to transformation. You mentioned funding, and you talked about the value of proper financial systems. What else are you seeing in terms of what's holding SMEs back from seizing and running with this digital opportunity?
Yeah, my view is, I think also mentioned by Dato, I think there is an awareness issue. They're not familiar that, hey, you can digitize and it may not cost so much, it's a journey. So I think there is an awareness issue, which I think the government needs to come up with some programs, or the association, I think. And obviously the SME is very diverse, because you got micro SME in different industry, you got the fintech, which is very digitized, and so it's a very diverse segment. So we may have to break it down and then target each of them to make sure that the awareness is there. And then clearly, I think also mentioned the funding, and then obviously the SMEs have been badly hit, I think, the last 20 months. So their funding is also probably cash flow and all that is badly impacted. But clearly, there is no choice but to digitize or else you die. So in a sense, I think they need to work on it. So I do believe, the knowledge, the expertise. So I think for SME, the association and the government, I think, and then plus all of us, the vendors who are all in the ecosystem for SME, I think need to come together on the awareness and then working together. And success stories, I think, are very important. Sharing success stories on SMEs, going through the digitizing and then how they came up, and then now they are, gone global and or regional and all that. So I believe, I think, because a lot of the SMEs are micro SMEs are mom and pop shops. So I think they don't have that knowledge and all that. So all that I think comes to play, and then obviously the talent. So I believe the whole ecosystem needs to come in to help with the SMEs. And then I do believe that when the government is helping out with these proactive programs, I do believe it should be a matching grant kind of a concept. So the SME needs to also put some skin in the game, and the government also putting in some skin in the game, rather than giving the government funding everything. Because then my view, then I don't think we really need the SME to also put the skin in the game, and to make sure that it's a win-win proposition, and then they are serious about digitizing themselves going forward.
Okay, so thank you. Very good summary. And let me talk to you now, Dorf. I mean, in a sense, what do you see the barriers are to digitization? I mean, you deal with the very target audience that we've just been speaking of. So what do you think is holding them back from your sense of dealing with these individuals and people?
Yeah, I totally agree with Dato and also Fitri. So when we look at the SMEs, right? In fact, if you look at Malaysia's scenario, there's no lack of policy. There's no lack of technology. There's no lack of vendors. The question then is, why is it so slow and low in the adoption? Because we think that those are the external factors, because those are available to the SMEs. But they are external factors that's not relevant to them, may not be relevant to them until they are made aware that if you don't digitalize yourself, don't transform, you cannot compete. So it's about competitiveness. Then what should you do? You should actually look at yourself, look inwards. The calibration and recalibration, of course, we can all play a role, raise the awareness, but somebody has to actually work further with them. Because when it comes to technology, right, there's no lack of that. We talk about big data, we talk about IoT, and such all terminologies, right? It may create fear. It may create, because it's unknown. So it may create fear, it may create a gap between the SMEs and the technology providers. Of course, I think I agree with Fitri. If we can start something small, like cloud-based, right? Nowadays, cloud-based is so mature and so ready. We can start there, start small. Once they embark on that, they can actually, I'm sure they will know what to do thereafter. So SME is always the first step. It's the fear factor. So of course, to talk about grant and capital, Malaysian government is actually very good in preparing grant. We have so many different grants and financial programs that's available. But SME needs to be made known that they need to be comfortable to apply for it. So I think the action from the SME, like what Datuk mentioned, has to be there, right? We can encourage, we can do that, but whoever is taking the first step has to come from the SME community.
Okay, well, obviously that's part of your future role or your current role in your new job. I would like to talk about one of the barriers that we see when we do surveys, and that's the talent barrier. And Angela, I think you can take the Australian perspective, and then I open it to the floor as to whoever wants to talk from a Malay perspective. But before I do that, we've had a brilliant question from one of the audience. So thank you very much for asking this question, which is we're all talking as if digitization is the universal fix. It's a brilliant thing and it's a marvelous thing. Is there a downside to digitization? And if so, what is it? Anyone want to take that one?
I think the downside, Andy, is that people assume that it's going to be a silver bullet to just launch every SME into the new hybrid economy that's out there. I think the approach needs to be that digitization is a tool, just like any other piece of infrastructure people might put into their business. It's a tool to help you move forward. It's a tool to help you run your business. It's a tool to help you market your business. It's a tool to help you spread your message. You've heard everybody here say different aspects of it, that we have a knowledge gap, that we need funding for it, that we need to get used to a different way of doing business. And digital is going to help us do that. Very quickly, the most astonishing fact here in Australia is that there's still 60% of businesses that don't even have a true online presence. So if you stop and start there, just having that digital online presence is already going to be light years ahead. Let's talk about talent, because talent in terms of being digital, there's a big gap there. When the SME owner isn't sufficiently informed or educated in knowledge around what is digital and what part of digital will help their business, then they won't be able to recruit. We've got a lot of trouble here in Australia keeping talent here. So we produce a lot of good talent, but we lose our talent overseas because we're not doing enough to keep them here. And COVID has shown us that regardless of which way we look at it, we don't have enough talent here anyway. So the borders came down, people couldn't come here, visas weren't going out. We've really got huge gaps in our supply chain and our talent. In basic hands-on employees here in Australia, in our hospitality industry, and I can't convert the dollars, Andy, but some of our basic kitchen staff in Australia are being offered $90 an hour, Australian dollars, to work on weekends. Some employers are being given a $20,000 or $30,000 sign-on bonus here, and that's your average SME. Average. Never heard of before. Never happened in the 30 years I've been in business. We've never had that. So talent is a huge issue here in Australia.
And again, this is my limited experience of Malaysia, because I was caught up in the COVID-19 18 months ago, and that's the last time I was in KL. So talent shortages locally, what are we seeing? How can we fix them? I mean, you guys are all living this every day. So anyone want to take that one? Sorry, Dorf, I'm in danger of dumping this one on you again, but talent shortages?
It'll be a pleasure to actually share my thought at this moment. I would think that, of course, talent is always an issue, right? It has always been there. But moving forward, I think there's the rise of the gig economy. Nowadays, we're seeing a lot of talents. They do not want to look for a permanent job. Their skills and their expertise are for rent. So they are available, especially like you talk about service-based, copywriter, designer, graphic designer. They're available. In fact, not just with confined to like Malaysia border, but also out of Malaysia, you can rent their service if you hook on to any of the websites that provides that service. So I think that's available now as compared to the olden days.
All right. So now that's interesting, Nick. We're going for an hour, which gives me 10 minutes remaining, I believe. So if you want to update that timer. Okay, so let me turn to the question of hybrid work, because one of the things that we hear a lot about in my part of the world is the idea of hybrid work, which is partly working from home and partly working from the office. And it's a kind of big thing, because Angela described the situation we face here in Australia. The 451 visas were no longer available as 500,000 people, IT resources were not here and should be, and blah, 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 usual thing. And so what we've seen as a response is what we're seeing is being described as human-centric designs of work, which is including a much more flexible arrangement or allowing our staff to work in the office when they want to work and at home when they want to work. I don't know whether that's an SME issue in Malaysia, so I'd be very interested in your views, guys. I mean, is this a way for Malay SMEs to address the talent issue? Because yes, you can outsource things, but you shouldn't outsource things that are strategically important. So if I do need to hire my experts in particular technology, my experts in a particular business technique, how do I keep them? How do I keep my talent? And is hybrid work part of that? Anyone want to have a go at answering that very practical question?
Yeah, sorry if I just jump in. I think that's actually very common nowadays, and we see that that's sustainable and that's moving forward. That was a very common practice among all the SMEs as well. In fact, we see that a lot of the employees their happiness are increased. I think the flexibility to work from home and office, they have the flexibility, so it's not like stuck in the traffic every single day versus taxing. So I think that's a good sign that we're seeing, and that's what SMEs are doing as well.
Okay, so let me then, thinking about the role of government, and one of the things that the Malay government is obviously very good at is forward planning. So what is the role of government and industry groups and the education sector in addressing the potential talent shortages? And what do you guys see as, how would you see this playing out, and what is the role of government in making sure Malaysia has the talent that it needs?
Yes, Andy, I would like to respond to that. And I would like to echo what Datin Dorf mentioned just now about talents being pinched out of the country. You see, we have a lot of talents here. They graduated well in the universities. There are a lot of universities here who offers courses in data analytics, in computer science, which is actually supplying to the market, overall, global market actually. But what happened is they tend to be enticed by other countries. And,
Let's say our friends down south, you're thinking
Right.
particularly, yeah.
I've been informed that the moment these students graduate from the universities, Asia Pacific universities, for example, multimedia universities, for example, once they graduated and being recruited to the companies in the country, they work for a while and suddenly they're away, they're gone because they're being pinched by higher salary from other countries. So what is actually the attraction to them is actually the pay, the salary that Malaysian industries are really still at not there yet, which is more which could attract these talents to stay in Malaysia. These are the things that is actually it's a pulling factor actually for these people to want to stay here. So this is something that all of us have to look. Don't put the burden on the government alone. We are trying to give you all the policies that is possible by providing good education. We have what we call TVET, the Technical Vocational Education and Training, TVET program. So employees are being the employees digitalization upskilling and entrepreneurship training program that are providing a pivotal role in providing the skilled workforce. So see, we have all this here. We are giving all this education, we're giving the students what they need, the knowledge that they need to market themselves, and they are easily being taken by the industries, but not here back home in Malaysia because they're all running away to other countries. So the government is doing a lot of collaborations. We have a lot of education institutions, be it public and private universities, industry associations, talent management companies, and public and private training providers to ensure that programs implemented will address these critical talent shortages. There are two sides of the story. One side where these people, the students are in a different set of education. Then there's this side of that who are already in the right market requirements, but they're being taken away. They're pinched by other countries which offers better pay, better salaries. So the government are trying very hard, but the industries must also help by providing attractive salaries to these people, to the graduates who have these talents. They have very good academic qualifications. What they need is a little bit more of training in the industries. Give them a little bit of training, give them experience, invest in them because they are human capital and they are your asset for the future of your industry.
Yeah, very difficult to respond to that, because the expectation is that if I train this person up, they'll be even more valuable and I'll lose them even faster. So I've invested further, thousands of ringgit in their education, and then they're gone and I've lost my investment.
Yeah,
but we can't think like that, Andy. As employers, we have to stop having that mindset that we might train them and then they go somewhere else, because that's also holding us back as SMEs. We need to celebrate that we can actually train and produce good people that someone else might want, because that shows great leadership from SMEs. So we need to change that mindset too. I used to be like that too, investing a lot in people and then taking it very personal when they would move on to a better job after all I'd done for them. But we have to get out of that, because that's where big business separates, right? They expect their employees to move on or to upskill them in some way, and another company inherits them. We don't. So we have a part to play here. So does government, but we have a part to play here.
I actually implore that if I can jump in, I'm sorry, Andy.
No, please do.
I actually totally agree with Dato and Angela, because when we train the employees, right, of course we want them to work for us, but then why would they work for us? Are we the right leader? Are we the right company for them to stay here? If we can prove ourselves that, I'm sure they wouldn't want to leave. If they see a future in this company, why should they leave the company? So we have to play a role. It's not just a talent issue. Are we the right talent for them as well as a leader?
Okay, well, that's a really throwing down the gauntlet for the challenge. On the logistics point, but just to remind everybody who's listening to this, if you do have any questions for the panel, please, now is a great time to ask them. To the organisers, the panel was due to finish on the top of the hour. We started 10 minutes late, and I believe you're going to allow us to run for an extra 10 minutes. If you're not, please let me know. So let me come back to something that has come through actually from the audience on cybersecurity, and I think, Fitri, you're probably the most well-qualified person to answer this, which is the other, we were talking about barriers to digitization and cybersecurity and the whole sort of data privacy compliance things come up. And I wondered what advice would you give to SMEs about that dimension of, stopping the bad guys doing bad things?
Yeah, so I think, if we look at the cloud-based solutions, when we were engaging with our customers, probably about 3-4 years ago, when Oracle engages with customers, the number one question is the security from cloud-based solution. And then, fast forward today, that question is item number 7 or 8. Because what has been proven is actually, for customers to run their IT system in the traditional manner in their own premises or on DC, actually they don't do the patching, and actually they are more vulnerable compared to running with a major cloud service provider like Oracle, because we need to patch up, and we have a brand name to live to. So obviously, so what has summarized is actually cloud-based infrastructure is actually more secure than the solutions that is running in the on-prem side. So obviously, it will be a hybrid world that there will be some solutions for SMEs running in their own premises, and then they'll be adopting more cloud. But probably in the next couple of years, more of it I think will be running from the cloud. So I think it is more secure, but at the same time, I think it's important that the SME work with the local partners and all that to make sure that the security side is looking at it from an end-to-end perspective, both the on-prem and also the cloud, and looking at it overall, because there have been instances like companies getting ransomware and all that. So I think definitely it's a big ticket item. And that needs to be a top agenda item for SMEs as they embark on digital transformation. That I think they need to really make sure that the security aspects is being taken care of, both from a security side in the cloud and also on-prem, so that there's a holistic view.
Thank you very much for that. I think it's a very good summary of the situation. Angela, I'd just like to bounce one question off you. We're hearing a lot about digital ethics. Just because you can do something digitally doesn't mean you should. And I wondered if you had a view on what that means for SMEs. Oh, and you too, Dorf, if you have a view. So Angela first, digital ethics.
Well, we're struggling right now in Australia with AI, facial recognition, what that means for privacy, security. Those things now are starting to be ranked really high, because I think the way some of our major social media platforms have behaving, and I'm not naming names or pointing fingers at anybody. I'm just saying this is the lay of the land. Our social media platforms thrive on the engagement factor. So the world now is to throw more dollars at something, to have that AI, to break those barriers, to create that world online of attention and information, we are starting to exceed our boundaries of privacy. Our behavioural patterns are being, monitored all the time, where we go on each page, whether we've got cookies, etc., etc. Some of us can't even change our passwords efficiently to understand. So cybersecurity in Australia is costing SMEs more than almost any other barrier to something, because some of our small businesses here in Australia are looking at sometimes up to $1 million worth of fraud happening within their businesses because of cybersecurity, losing their data, losing information. That it's a very real threat here.
Okay. Dorothy, do you have anything to add to that particularly?
I think because SMEs is not the technical experts, we rely on all the experts like Fitri to take care of that for us. That's our stand.
Right. Let me double back, because I'm just monitoring the questions that are coming through, and out of respect for the audience, I just wanted to just double back to the talent question, because that's obviously something that is very dear to everyone's heart here. And the question that says, we often hear the term gig economy. In fact, someone has mentioned on this panel. My apologies, I can't remember who said it. Someone who always talked about the gig economy already in relation to digitalization. Is that because we can't find the talent, and therefore, or it's the people are leaving corporate jobs and therefore the gig economy is all we have available to us? Or is the gig economy somehow different? Is it solving a different problem? Anyone want to take the gig economy question?
Yeah, I think I mentioned that just now. So just let me chip in a bit. I think it's both that problem, because it's the trend of you see the young educated people nowadays. They have different mindset. They want a balance of work-life balance. So their requirements of life is very different from us, right? From myself, like we work maybe 13 hours, 14, 15 or more hours a day. But nowadays it's very different, right? They want that work-life balance. So I think that's one of the reasons there's the rise of this as an industry as well.
Right. Well, that opens the door to my sort of final area of conversation with the panel, which is to do with the customer experience. We build it as emerging technologies, but it's actually specific to customer experience. And we all have experienced the digital natives and how they behave differently, the Gen Xers, the people who are just coming into the workforce now. And we know that generally poor customer experience drives away, repeat business drives away, basically leaves money on the table. So I'd be very interested in the experiences of the panel, dealing with this digitally literate, very different consumer base. I mean, Dorf was just talking about them as potential workers. Well, think of them as potential customers. They're even more alien. So what are you guys seeing in terms of dealing with this next generation consumer? What do we have to do to make them loyal, to make them consume our service? Anyone want to take that?
Andy, look, customer service and customer experience is my field of expertise here in Australia. I think when we look at using the word loyalty, I think we're approaching that wrong now, because people aren't loyal to any one brand anymore. It's not like it was as we were growing up, where we would buy the same car brand forever, use the one of anything. People have choice now. It's going to be all about engagement. It's going to be all about making sure that you give them the best possible experience as much of the time as you can. We all want to get it right 100%, but that never happens. But it's the way that we are going to engage with our customers to intrigue them to come back. They're never going to stay with you all the time. Forget about that. That is so yesterday. What we want to do is capture that part of the market from them, where we know that we can rely on them to repeat business, is what we're focusing on now. Loyalty, that expectation, it shouldn't be there from either end. It should all be engagement. The customer wants to engage with the brand needs to engage with the customer, and that experience is where we should be searching for in terms of loyalty. It's just in that transaction. If you want more transactions, you have to work harder now than ever before.
Can I just... I'm so sorry. No, please, Dorf.
In fact, I totally agree. I think the feel-good factor and the experience at that very moment they deal with the company is very important. That's why the digitalization plays a very big role, because you can't rely on the labor, the people, that they can't be working 24 hours. But if you have the intelligence that's built into your like CRM, the customer relationship management software, that will work for you. But you have to come up with the process, the elements to build into the software before the software can actually play the
So, Dorf, you have to people-proof your business, right? You have to make sure that your business can keep working to deliver the customer experience and kind of bypass the labor portion to make all those other bits that people need to check out faster, to make sure their information is there, to be able to identify the product, the streamlining of everything, the clarity, the amount of digital businesses where you can't even see a contact anywhere. You know, we don't approach things in the way, if I'm a customer and I have a question, where would I look for that answer? Those simple things is what that engagement is about. You will build loyalty if you get that right, but you can't start out the digital or the engagement with the word loyalty. It's about
Exactly.
the feel good.
Exactly, because the attention span is so short nowadays. You can have the patience.
My 3-year-old nephew spends more time, has more patience online than me.
I think, okay, so let me just turn very briefly to sort of the government perspective in this. In Suriani, I mean, one of the complaints that I've heard many times from it's not the bigger end of town in Malaysia is the regulators, the government don't let me experiment. And one of the key things we've seen is businesses that are generally good at consumer engagement do a lot of experimentation. And I'm just wondering, the position of how you. It's a tricky line to walk, because on the one hand you can't be too permissive, on the other hand you can't be too restrictive. So how do you decide as an agency, as a government, where to draw the line? How much experimentation do you allow without overstepping the mark?
There's no limitation to experimenting. Experimentation is being done even without our knowledge, without the government's knowledge. They are all doing it on their own. But I think this exercise is really open. It's not really subject to any limitations. Also, we're not really stopping anyone from doing those. It's just that if there is something related to policy, that is where the government comes in. But if the SMEs want to do their own experimentation, then it's really they are free to do so. It's something that we also encourage innovations and all that we want them to do it on their own. And perhaps once they've found some innovation, perhaps they want to collaborate with the government, we're there to listen to you, and we're happy to know if there are outside the SMEs who are doing it on their own. We're very happy to help and listen to them if they need our help. And so it's not limited. It's not as people may have been thinking about.
Okay, I think I'm being told that we're more or less at time. So what I'd like to do is just draw the session to a close and ask each of you to summarize or give two pieces of advice, really. One is, if you're an SME leader, what should you take away from today's panel? The second thing is, if you're a government policy person, obviously we have a couple of, some experts with us, but what would the recommendations be for government, and not just the Malay government, because obviously the Australian government needs a bit of a refresher on this too. So perhaps, Suriani, if I could ask you to keep the talking stick. So to summarize where we're at, what recommendation would you give to SME leaders who are listening to the panel, and maybe also to the policy people in government?
Right. I think what the MSMEs need to actually invest is really on human. It's really on human capital, number one, and you have to. Human capital is your asset. That's the thing that will keep you alive. So these are this group of people that you really need to keep and nurture their talents. And why I agree with Angela just now. You have to keep them and find creative ways to keep them with you. The new gen now is not like us. They can just leave you. If there is something more attractive offering to them outside, they just go. They just short thinking and they just leave. So invest in human capital. That's number one. Number two, something that we cannot not do anymore now is about digitalizing your business. Something that we have to embrace. We have to take this on, and we have to not shy in investing in that. Not to be too calculative about investing in digitalization. Put money in that. Put money in human capital. That's the best. That's the way forward in the new norm now.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Very clear advice there. So, Fitri, I'd like to pose you the same question. What advice would you give to the SME leaders that are listening to this, and indeed the government policy people who might be listening to this too? What would help them?
Yeah, so my perspective is I think each SME should come up with their own digital strategy. It is a journey. Obviously, SMEs are in different phases. So I think it's important for them to do a bit of a current state assessment where they, and then, come up with a strategy and also a plan to adopt digital going forward. I believe there are many programs from the government. So I think maybe there's an awareness issue, SME association, government. I believe there are a lot of things available from the Malaysian government and also the different agencies. I think a lot of these things can be tapped on going forward. And in the end, my view, it is collectively we need to work together for the whole SME ecosystem, being the government, the association, the members, and even all the service providers like us, and all these things needs to come together and then show a success story, and then sharing that, and then getting more and more adoption digitally going forward.
Great, good advice. Angela, so what bit of advice would you give to the SME leaders and indeed to a government? Think of the Australian government, not the Malay government.
Well, in terms of both, because I think this is for both. I think it's important to embrace the digital transformation, but not limit what you think it can do. So we suggest to SMEs here, come up with your idea. Think of what you want to do in your business. I promise you there's a digital solution for it right now. Because even if it hasn't been invented, and that's a very not applicable word to use for digital, it can be made. You can make anything now in digital. So don't limit your dream or the product or your service or the way your company looks online. Don't limit it by thinking it's got to be cookie cutter out of a box. It doesn't. We're making new digital products all the time in our business, and it's just a matter of us waking up in the morning and saying, how hard can it be to make it? And it's made. I wish government did the same thing. We're still struggling with our QR codes here.
That is the Australian government, not the Malay government. We're just little insert there. Okay, Angela, thank you very much. And Dolph, last but not least, what advice would you give to the SME leaders that are listening, or indeed to government policy folks who are listening to this panel?
Yeah, thanks, Andy. I think the first step is always the hardest. In fact, COVID has actually opened up a lot of minds. So I think the question of digitalization is not really the question now. Of course, at the same time, we want to help all the single SMEs. They are ready to recover and compete. You must also take the opportunity to recalibrate, look inwards about the company, and then determine what's the strongest, the most unique competitiveness, and digitalize that. Move forward together. We also hope to see the leadership from the government. We can actually all see the SME to work as one whole sector and industry, led by government. We all come in as an ecosystem. Then with support of the private sector and NGO like SME Malaysia as well.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for that succinct summary there, Dolph. And that brings the panel to a close. So at that point, thank you very much, panel. I would like to hand back to Gagan to wrap up the event. And once again, panel, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andy, Dato Suryani, Fitri, Angela, and Datin Dolph. Ladies and gentlemen, how about a round of applause to them? Let me see some W's in the chat box. I definitely found a lot of key takeaways from this power panel session. And as you know, if I were to summarize to one sentence, is embark the digitalization journey. Trust me, is the only way to go. Even I myself, when I did stand-up comedy physically, I didn't know it was possible doing it virtual until last year. Hey, could I put it in the digital world? And turns out you actually can. So yeah, never give up, and hope you all have that. Hope you all start having that strategy, and I wish you all the best in your digital journey. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned earlier, we still remember we are giving away 15 cool gadgets worth more than 4,000 ringgit in total at this summit. Now, each of the 4 breakout tracks of this summit where you will be able to win one of these 3 gadgets. As you can see on the screen, Sony True wireless earbuds, Samsung wireless charger pad, and Sony portable wireless speaker. So if you actually want to be one of these winners, all you have to do is actually complete a short survey. You actually complete by scanning the QR code, which will be shown on the screen. Or if you have problems scanning the QR code, you can actually just type in the URL that you see, the blue box there, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. Type in the URL there and just complete the survey. That's all you got to do. We truly value your honest feedback. It is a very important input for us to keep providing you with better event experience. We'll announce the 3 winners of this session and the other 3 winners of the other parallel breakout session in the session in the afternoon. So I don't know whether you all understood what I just said. If you have actually won in this session, we'll actually announce it in this session in the afternoon. So ladies and gentlemen, if you really enjoyed today's morning session, please do join us in the afternoon session because we have a power-packed lineup. And at the grand finale, we'll also be covering the future of work and tech for good and the digital finance track. So I repeat, future of work, tech for good, and the other track is digital finance track. This is for the afternoon session. We have a list of great speakers. Trust me, you don't want to miss them. If you are still in Jublia, remember to visit our sponsors and partners virtual booth to find out about their latest product offerings. If you need any assistance from us, do email us at events@thestar.com.my. You can also email StarBiz Summit 2021@jublia.com for technical assistance on Jublia. So ladies and gentlemen, one more time, do complete that short survey and stand a chance to win 1 out of 3 cool gadgets. Also, please do share this event with your colleagues, get them to join this event because 2 o'clock, trust me, it's the last run. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm signing out, but this particular page will remain live for the next 10 to 15 minutes. I thank you so much and I'll welcome you again at the grand finale this afternoon at 2 p.m. See you all later.
You've heard it before. The connected age. Life at the speed of the internet. It's a digital world. What you might not have heard is that we can keep it safe. Because at CrowdStrike, we stop breaches. So wherever you go, go with confidence. Anywhere. Welcome to Anywhere. CrowdStrike. We stop breaches.
You always knew you'd be in for a ride. There'd be ups, downs, twists, and unexpected turns. It would be an exciting journey, even a little scary at times. And although it's difficult to predict what's around every corner, there's something else you understood. Transformation is essential for your business, your people, and your customers, so you can stay agile, resilient, and relevant in an ever-shifting marketplace. At SAP, we understand that true transformation is a journey too. It goes beyond the edges and deep into the core of your business. But it's a journey you don't have to take alone. No matter where you're starting from and where you want to go, we're by your side to simplify planning and execution and integrate data, intelligent tech, with cutting-edge ERP that will accelerate outcomes on your terms and on your timelines. The road ahead is clear. The next turn truly transformative. It's your time to rise with SAP.
Welcome to the future. You're gonna wanna get ready. You're gonna wanna get ready. You're gonna wanna get ready. Get ready. Get ready. Get ready. Welcome to the future. Welcome to the future. Welcome to the future. Here we are making history. Higher than we've ever been. You're gonna wanna get ready. Get ready, get ready. Welcome to the future.
This is the new world of work. Each day looks different than the last. But whatever work becomes, the ServiceNow platform will make it just flow. Whether it's finding new ways to help you serve your customers, orchestrating a safe return to the office,
Wait, an office? What's an office?
or solving a workplace challenge that's yet to come. Wherever the new world of work takes your business, the world works with ServiceNow.
So I say the word innovation and you immediately think, the pulley. Wait, what? Stay with me. Let's go back to around 25 BC. Archimedes of Syracuse. Major big brain dude. He had this incredible idea. Here's how his buddy Plutarch reported it. He said Archimedes moved an entire warship using pulleys and his own strength. That is innovation. Not 2.0 or an upgrade or the next generation, but something that changes the way we think and work and live. The heralded breakthroughs have more often than not merely walked to the edge of innovation. The cloud and AI and low code. Complex problems can only be solved by solutions that don't cause more problems. So what would Archimedes do today? He'd build a pulley and call it robotic process automation. Make the tech learn the human, name the task, name the workplace. RPA allows companies to automate at the UI level, connecting disparate technologies. Granted, that's a really wonky sentence. All it means is this: you and your employees can now pull vastly more than your own weight. So I say the word innovation and you...